Hello. I could eat about 1.5 million of these.
Well, nobody's perfect.
Welcome to the It's a Drama podcast.
Daddy, I love him.
My mother thanks you.
If you can't say something nice.
All right, Mr. DeMille, I'm ready for my close-up.
Hello and welcome back to the It's a Drama podcast. I'm Liz.
And I'm Brian.
And today we're going to be talking about New Zealand people, what New Zealand people are like. We've had a lot of people wanting to move to New Zealand or even just coming to New Zealand on holiday. And, you know, just saying, well, what are the New Zealand people like? Are they friendly? So we just thought we're going to give you our view of what we found the New Zealand people to be like. But before we do that, we've got something to say. Well, Brian's got something to say.
Yes. Right. Well, what it was is the last podcast that we did, I made a bit of a blunder and I'd just like to apologise. So this is a wholehearted apology because I think you should stand up if you've done something wrong or said something wrong. And what it is, it's about the word Indigenous. So I'd just like to apologise to say, because I have actually read up on this now. We've had quite a few comments from people saying, actually, you're not right. And I'll take my hat off and no, you wouldn't take your hat off, would you? You just go, yep, I'll stand up and go, yes, I'm wrong. And I apologise. I'm very, very sorry. Because growing up in the UK, you went to school and you kind of learnt about Indigenous or what you thought was Indigenous and thought, well, that's it. But actually, Indigenous means the first settlers of their land. So, you know, yes, I will say apologise to all the Maori people out there who I actually said there are no Indigenous people to New Zealand. And, well, there are, because they are the Maori people. So, yes, I stand corrected. So I'm awfully sorry if I put your nose out of joint on that. Okay, so now, before we move on to the podcast and say about the New Zealand people, I think it's proper to just say what the country is made up of, because what people the country is made up of. So this is very unlike me. So I want you to listen carefully because it's very, very rare that I do. I get my facts right and I bother doing any research, to be honest. So New Zealanders is what we're talking about, isn't it?
So I've done my research and, before I start that, hang on. Did you know that there's now over 5 million people living in New Zealand, Bri?
Yes, I did actually know that, yes.
Did you?
Because everyone says
Why didn't you tell me?
4.5 million. I think I did say it on a podcast.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, a long time ago that it's knocking on 5 million people.
So that was in 2020, but this census is from 2018. It's the most up-to-date one I can find that tells you about what the people that New Zealand is made up of. So 71.7% are identify themselves as European New Zealanders, which can be anything from, you know, French, German, Scandinavian, Dutch, Scottish.
Just European.
Yeah.
That's all you have to say.
Yeah, no, but I don't want to just go, England, Scotland, France. I just want everyone to know that you know, it's made up of a lot of people in Europe, isn't it? Yeah. Going back literally 5 generations probably. 4 or 5. Yeah. But somewhere in there, you have got English blood, so don't forget that. That's what I always say to my friend Kim. Anyway, so
we always say English, but actually it's UK, isn't it? Because it's English.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of Scottish down in the south, isn't there?
But I always, Anyway, so 71.7% identify as European New Zealanders, 16.5% the Indigenous Maori, 15.1% Asian people, 8% as Pacific Islanders, and 1.2% Middle Eastern, Latin American, and African. So when we talk about New Zealanders, just remember New Zealand is a huge melting pot of people made up of all different
just a multicultural society.
What did you think New Zealanders were going to be like?
Well, we did talk a little bit about this in the last podcast that we did, thinking, you know, bordering towards the Australian type person.
Yeah. What about you running off with the guys? And
the guys, and just that, you know, hard as Sheila and, you know, Bruce and Sheila and everything, you know, all that sort of stuff. And there is a big difference between Australians and.
Who do you know that's Australian?
Brother-in-law.
Oh yeah. That's true. Yeah, but he's lived
Um,
in Britain for
Yeah,
years.
well,
And
he was
years.
born in England, but
Oh,
he,
Bri,
he
tell people what we're drinking. We're having some.
oh, we're having a Long Island iced tea today.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cocktail time. It's the middle of summer here. It's been a glorious day, probably 27 degrees. So not too hot, just really nice.
And we were just sitting there, and I said, "Should I put the kettle on?" And Brian said, "No. Why don't we have a nice little cocktail?" So that's what we're having. We're having a Long Island iced tea.
Yeah. So Long Island iced tea that's got
No, don't say what's in it. It would make us sound like alcoholics.
okay, fresh lemon juice.
Yes, loads
A
of
whole
that.
fresh
Good
lemon.
vitamin C.
Yep. And then it's got white rum, gin, vodka, tequila,
my
triple sec. Not much,
So
really.
let's just get on with the
And
podcast.
a little bit of Coca-Cola that you shake up in the cocktail shaker, and it tastes like tea.
So Kiwi people, New Zealanders, are known for their humility. They don't like to brag. They don't like braggers.
Yeah.
Would you say that was true?
Yes, because that's when you said, "Who do I know who is Australian?" And when I was had my plumbing company, my heating company, we used to have to meet quite a lot of reps, and so you would meet a lot of companies that you deal with over here are Australian based, or say you're dealing with Bosch, because you will deal direct with manufacturers, which is crazy because in the UK you always have a middleman, but sometimes if your company's big enough, then you can deal direct with the manufacturer. So
Oh,
I
they're having a party next door. Listen.
I think they are,
Listen.
aren't they? Oh, and there
You
might be an
hear it?
argument.
No. She just said, "I'm not saying if it's good or bad. Maybe they're listening to our podcast and going,
Yeah,
what do you
there you
think?
go.
I'm not saying it's rubbish, but sounds like they're over there getting a bit drunk to me."
It's
Oh, come
starting
on.
up.
Anyway, what are you
So
saying
anyway,
about
what I was
Bosch?
trying to say is you'd meet a lot of Australian reps. They
Yes.
would come over here and they were just gobs on sticks. So sorry if you're from
You better
Australia.
be careful, young
but
man.
They just are. It's just like, yeah, we've got the. I'm trying to do the Australian accent because it is completely
God, you
different
must
than the
be
Kiwi
drunk.
one.
Are you drunk?
No,
That's not like you to dive in there and do an Aussie accent.
yeah,
Go on then, let's hear
you know
it.
what? Because they get up your nose a little bit, the Australians.
Brian, you can't say
Yeah,
that.
but they do. They. It's just like they'll come over here and they'll come to New Zealand. And they'll go, Australian wine's the best, and you'll go, really? Have you tried any New Zealand wine? Nope, don't need to.
Do you know?
Just,
Do you know someone for a
yes.
fact that said that, or are you just
Yes,
making that up? Who? Name them.
I can't remember his name now, but he was just and everything. You know, oh, you guys, you're just not very good at sport and all that sort of stuff, and especially you Poms, you're hopeless. And you're just like, oh, really?
Well,
You know,
I
it's,
think that's
and
just a bit of
really, no,
playful
honestly,
banter.
it's not. There's an aggression about them. So that's the difference between New Zealand people. The guys, anyway, I've found that. You know, the Kiwis sort of step back and look at them and say, "Yep, we'll just show you on the field next time,"
Ah,
and that's what they do. That's the
okay.
difference, and that's what I'm trying to say. Is they're quite brash, the Australians, and they think I like. There's lots of Australian people I've met that I really
Well,
really
I should
like,
hope so.
but
Your brother-in-law's one of them.
yeah, just the reps. I don't know what it is.
So if you're a rep and you're Australian
Yeah.
and you're listening to this podcast, then sorry about that. Don't have any more of that. Put that down now, Bri. Stop taking big gulps. It's making you a bit silly. So humility. Humility. I get the impression that Kiwi people, they don't like to brag. And you meet people and you have no idea who they are, or this is what I've learned so much is you literally you can be in a cafe, and do you remember that time we went to that bed and breakfast and we were having that breakfast with that guy and he was something like the head of Zero or something like that, and he was just
Oh yeah, the guy. He was American though. I think was he?
no, he
No, he was
wasn't.
Kiwi?
Yeah, he was Kiwi.
He
yeah.
worked for Apple.
in Wanaka.
Yeah, he'd worked for Apple, and then he was helped set up Zero in America.
Hmm. Oh, that's what. Yeah, he went
Zero
to
is
work
an
in
accounting
America.
company, isn't it?
Yeah, but he was just, he
Accounting
wasn't
software.
like sitting and having breakfast saying, oh, I'm this and I'm that. You just never know who you talk. That's what I found is you never know who you're talking to.
Yeah.
And, I don't know, like in England, there's lots of, you get that feeling that they're above you and, you're made to feel, you know about it straight away if they've got like, a mansion or, they live
Yeah,
in a posh area or something like
get
that.
a few chavs that got loads of money.
Yeah, I don't know. You just get that feeling from them. That you never get that feeling from the Kiwi. You never know if they were a billionaire or whether they were,
It's a bit like where we go down at the cafe, isn't it? I know there's a lot of business people that hang out there, but they've just got their flip flops on and a pair of shorts and a raggedy old t-shirt. They'll turn up in an old Toyota van because that's what they go surfing in, and you wouldn't have a clue who they were. It's almost like that's what they want.
I hope that doesn't change.
No, because that's what's nice about it, isn't it? They don't turn up in the Audi, do they?
No, but I find that is very common in like our age group, but I don't know what it's like for the 20-year-olds that, because I don't really know any 20-year-olds like that. But
yeah, you can see it. You can see it change a little bit. You get quite a few of the I don't know what, I don't want to say yummy mummies and things, but they just, you can see the younger ones are trying to change. They can see the difference, can't they? That type of thing.
I don't know. To be honest, I don't know anyone. But yeah, they dress differently. Of course, they're not going to dress like a 50-year-old, are they?
What's wrong with that?
But no, but what I would disagree with here is the fact that I don't agree with this tall poppy syndrome thing. I think Kiwis are very humble and they are, they're not braggers, but I have found it the opposite. Like I was expecting, they go on about this tall poppy syndrome and, like if you do well, then they'll knock you back down. I've never, ever experienced that. And I've never come across a Kiwi that I've said, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, or, we're thinking of starting this business. And no one's ever said, maybe that's not what it means. Maybe it means like if you get above your station and
it's if you get above your station. If you,
but what does that mean? As in what?
You know what? I think going back to when we first came here, The Last Samurai had just been filmed, hadn't it? That's a film that's supposed to be filmed in Japan, but because Taranaki or New Plymouth the Mount Taranaki resembles Mount Fuji just outside of Tokyo, so they filmed The Last Samurai here, which starred Tom Cruise, didn't it? And you sort of heard people say that when Tom Cruise came into the bar, it's almost like they snubbed him a little bit because it's like, don't come in here, swagger in.
Don't come in here being all Tommy.
You're a big star or anything like that.
Well, he is.
And he is. He probably was still one of the biggest stars out there, isn't he? Like, as a Hollywood star, and you're talking 12 years ago. So he was doing the Mission Impossible series and all that sort of stuff.
Who told you that? Who said that they did that then?
Do you know who it was? It was the guy who used to live down the road. Who was his name? Steve?
Oh, yeah.
It was him.
The guy that wouldn't sell us the land.
Yeah, he wouldn't sell us the land. He had the Gator, the 4-wheel drive or 6-wheel drive thing, whatever it is, like a quad bike, but made by John Deere, I think it is. It's a green and yellow thing. It's called a Gator. And he bought the one off the film company.
Oh, right.
Because they'd use that for a runaround and getting equipment out and around and to locations. So he was the one who told me that story.
Right. Well, anyway, I've never found that to be the case. I've always found Kiwis to be really positive, anything you do, and if you said, like, for instance, if you turned around and go, oh, yeah, I've got, I don't know, I'm doing really well with my business, or I've got this. I mean, you wouldn't say that anyway because we're not like braggy people, but I can't imagine them going, oh, steady on there, lad, don't brag. I can't imagine that, but maybe they would. But I've never, ever come across it. And so I would argue against the tall poppy syndrome. But if you're saying they've knocked Tom Cruise down a peg or two, then maybe.
Yeah, but Tom Cruise must have liked it because I think he did buy a property around here somewhere, it's down by the coast.
All right. Number 2, their sense of humour. What do you think of the Kiwi sense of humour? They've got a good sense of humour.
They have got a very good sense of humour. My favourite sense of humour in New Zealand is the Maori sense of humour. It's just funny. It's just they have got such a sneaky, naughty sense of humour, if that makes sense. They understand sarcasm a little bit more. Kiwis don't tend to understand sarcasm very well. They think you're actually being serious sometimes.
That's what I struggle with as well with my friends. It's like, I'm not serious. And they're like, oh, really? Well, what do you mean then? And it's like, oh,
it's just that British
awkward
sort of humour. Even, Americans do kind of understand sarcasm, don't they? But the Maori people really understand it.
I love their sense of
Yeah,
humour.
because I think it's that family sense of humour where
Yeah.
the dad will have a go at someone, and it's just like, and it's a great sense of humour.
There's this guy on TikTok actually. Now, just promoting my my latest
TikTok. Liz is on TikTok.
like my latest craze, and I went on TikTok and started making a few videos, and I've only followed a bunch of people. I made it made it a point of, because normally when you go on a social media site, you follow loads of people, so they'll follow you back, sort of thing. It's just all really stupid. But I just thought, no, I'm really just going to follow the people that I absolutely love. And this guy is on there, and he is just flipping hilarious. He's this Māori guy, and he just takes the mick out of his mum. He puts, like how they put a tea towel on their head and pretend they're the mum, and they're like, what it's
He's
like
really
to
good,
be.
isn't he?
Yeah, he's brilliant. And actually, he went on to I was looking on his channel, and he's gone on to do the Air New Zealand videos now. Did I tell you that?
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
He's famous now.
Yeah,
Boy.
I tell you
I
what,
might knock him down a peg or two.
But you can go on YouTube and see all the New Zealand videos because they do safety videos. So if you ever flown out New Zealand, they do great. The safety videos are just it's just people just taking the mickey out of stuff, and I remember the Lord of the Rings stuff, and they've got Gandalf and he's lighting his staff or blowing on it, and the guy comes up, sorry, no smoking in here.
Oh, really?
And there's Gollum crawling down through. If you just go on YouTube and just search them out, they're really. Peter Jackson helped with a lot of them, but it's mainly staff dressed up as.
Which again reflects the New Zealanders, the Kiwi sense of humour.
Yeah,
I think they love laughing at themselves. Do you? I like it that they just.
You see most of their films are a bit like that, aren't they? Some of
yeah.
the farming films and all those sort of stuff. It's like,
What I can't get my head around with the Kiwi humour is like the older generation, like obviously not us because we're young, but like the older people, sort of like 80 onwards, you go into the cinema and you watch a film, and they just crack up laughing at the simplest things, like like if someone traps their finger in a door and like roll.
It's very slapstick.
It is.
Humour.
That's the word I was looking for. Yeah, slapstick. They like slapstick humour, don't they?
Yeah. Sometimes they
The
don't
older
quite get it
generation
sometimes, but
Kiwis.
because the thing is that over here they would have watched all the old. British
Sitcoms and
sitcoms
things.
and stuff like that. Dad's Army and I can't think of them for the life of me now. Ain't Half Hot Mum and all those sort of things. And
Are You Being Served?
Have You Been Served? Yeah, and just all that stuff. They just would, and Monty Python's, just brought up on it, and that's what it was, wasn't it?
So you love Monty Python. I don't think that's funny, but you laugh your head off.
Sometimes it's because it's just groundbreaking comedy.
But that's the
really,
same
really
sort of humour, isn't it, as the Kiwis have? They love that.
They will sort of laugh out loud at it, won't they? They really do. And you can go to a cinema, and you do hear people laughing. It's quite rare to hear it on other things, isn't it? In other countries.
Oh, but while we're on the, I haven't written this one down, but I'll just tell you this. This is one thing that did shock me about the Kiwis, is they're so quiet when it comes to clapping and
well, we talked about that before, haven't we? Going to the All Blacks and stuff like that.
How many times have you been to the theatre? Like in England, it's common practice. If you've enjoyed the show, you're on your feet, you're wolf whistling, you're shouting. At the theatre, and you're just really giving it all you've got.
Yeah.
And the Kiwis look at you as if like, sit down, you're embarrassing yourself, woman. And also when we went to see the All Blacks play,
they are quite conservative in that type of
and that
environment,
surprises
aren't
me.
They?
Because they're not like that, are they?
No, because they're
So you'd almost think it would be the other way, because the British are so bloody stiff upper lip and like everything's got to be proper. And no, don't embarrass us in front of people.
Yeah.
Kiwis are the other way. They don't mind making fun of themselves. But yet when it comes to, it shocks me every time. And it isn't just a one-off. It's happened a lot,
Yeah, but you see it even, you'll see a big rugby game and there is a cheering, but it's not like the way the UK would cheer for England.
Yeah.
They don't cheer the same for New Zealand. They do in their hearts.
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem to come out at the stadium the same.
I took Tess we went to Wellington just before Christmas, and I took Tess to the one of the comedy stores up there, one of the comedy clubs, and we were watching some stand-up comedy. And we were sitting at the front, and I'm used to, from going to comedy clubs in England, being heckled, and just
you being with
with the guy, the person that's at the front, the comedian at the front, always whines. You know, they always
Yeah,
pick
having
on
a go at the having a go at the audience.
What's that
yeah.
called? Is it?
Well, that's the other way around. The
yeah,
heckler is normally
yeah.
the person going
Well,
back.
okay,
at
then
them.
heckling.
Yeah.
There was absolutely
There's
no.
none, is there?
There was no heckling. It was. They were so polite, and it was just. You know, and even the guy, there was this brilliant comedian, and I don't know his name, but he was having a go at me and Tess, big mouldy dude, like, you know, and he was having a go at me and Tess, saying, "Oh yeah, you're from New Plymouth, are you? Oh, you do, you know, what, your mother, daughter, do you sleep with each other and stuff like that?" And he came over to me afterwards, and he just said, "Oh, I am so sorry. I'm so sorry that I said that to you." And I said, "Just don't worry about it. You know,
That's what
it's
it's there for,
absolutely
isn't it?
fine." But they were so polite and so
Yeah.
respectful. And
Yeah, but you remember the comedy store we went to in Wellington, and they said, "Oh, because it's you know, these guys are newbies, no heckling."
yeah.
And you're like, "Oh, come on, it's a comedy store. You know, you've got to get the guy going," because then everyone was just pan faced, and he didn't get. And that
I
was
know.
the worst thing to say to an audience was, "Don't heckle," because then everyone just went quiet.
Do you know what, Bright? My worst ever experience of going out in New Zealand with you. Don't laugh. No, because you know what I'm going to say.
I know the comedy store in New Plymouth.
That Christmas do, and you were so flipping drunk. You should have been ashamed of yourself, Brian. And we went to that comedy.
Made for a good night though.
No, it didn't. You thought it did. That's the trouble with people who have too much to drink. They think they're being funny, and they're like, "Ha ha ha! Look at me! Like I'm heckling the comedian at the front." I could have died of embarrassment that night, Bri. I have never been so embarrassed in
That was
my
because
life.
Steve was on,
Yeah, but you were just being obnoxious, actually. If I'm honest.
and he had a moustache. He was on hiding.
Do you remember that time we went to the comedy store in London, and I don't know, some famous comedian was on? Who's that comedian that was on? The guy from Oxford, the real.
Is the guy who
not
does
Hugh Laurie or someone like that, wasn't it?
Yeah, the guy who does. It's not the 9 o'clock news or something, isn't it? Whatever. Whatever it's called.
Anyway, he was famous. Do you remember? And he came out, and the whole, oh my God, it was awful. Do you remember? They just started giving him such a shouting and hard time. That was awful. That was horrible. So no, you go to this comedy store in New Zealand, and it's like, no, you've got to be good, you've got to be nice, and So yeah, that's the Kiwi humour. Okay, moving on. Hang on, where's my list? They're not too serious. Well, we've just covered that, haven't we? You know, they aren't serious people. They can take a laugh. They don't mind laughing at themselves, and yeah, they're just lighthearted. Light-hearted people, aren't they? You know, it's nothing.
Yeah, but they can be serious if they have to be. You know, it's you know. But what is that a question? Is that
no? That's just they don't take things. They don't take life too seriously. Would you say they did?
No, I thought when they have to be serious, they're serious. I thought
yeah.
that was what you were about to say, because I haven't seen your list.
No, well, no, that's what it said. It said, but I'll tell you what, and I'm going to just tell this story because I went down to Foursquare this morning to get some potatoes because we were having mazaka and we needed to put some potatoes in it. And it's a really hot day at the moment in New Plymouth. It's a lovely day. It's the middle of summer and it's boiling hot day. And I pulled up. I'd just been for a walk. It was about 9:15 in the morning. So still lovely and sunny, but quite cool. And I pulled up and there was a lot of hustle and bustle going on outside, like about 4 cars outside the Foursquare. You know, all the kids getting out the cars and getting some, you could see they were getting stuff for picnics and they were going off to the beach. And, you know, there was lots of people around and it just had a real nice family, light-hearted feel about it. And I went into Foursquare, and in our Foursquare on the left-hand side, as you walk through the door, is a coffee stall selling coffee. And there was a young girl there. I noticed her because she had a lovely beach dress on, and she was about 23, well, about 25, something like that. And she was waiting for her coffee, and she was chatting to the lady behind the counter. I was at the fruit and veg stall looking for the potatoes, which was next to the coffee thing. And this lady came in, you know, marching in basically. She was about, I don't know, 65, something like that. And she said, I'm going to do my Kiwi accent. Excuse me, all Kiwis out there. Whose is that baby in the car? Listen up, all you people who love New Zealand and dream of moving here or even are planning to move here. 11 years ago, when we decided to emigrate to New Zealand, we'd put our papers in and everything, and then honestly, I spent months just scouring whatever I could and devouring any information on New Zealand that I could find. I was reading all the books, I was going on any websites I could find. And, I was even listening to Kiwi radio just so we could get a feel of what it was like over here. And I vowed when we got over here, I'd make something for someone that just showed them what real life was really like in New Zealand. And that's what I've done for you. You're going to absolutely love this. I've created a free 5-day video guide all about moving to and living in New Zealand. Now, this guide is not your tourist guide, pretty picture-y hobbits things about New Zealand. This is nitty-gritty, what it's like to live in New Zealand, because do you know what? It's too far away. You can't come and see it for yourself. It's, you're taking a big risk. Maybe you've only been here once or twice. You want to know what it's like to live in New Zealand. And this video series is going to show you that. And best of all, it is absolutely free. Okay, you're going to love it. This is where you have to go. You can go to
I'll tell you what,
www.itsadrama.com/I-love-NZ. I'm going to say that again. It's www.itsadrama, so itsadrama.com/I-love, and then the 2 letters NZ. Go over there. Put your email in and I will send you 5 days of free, real life, what it's like to live in New Zealand. And I just know I'm so excited about it. You are going to love it. Let me know what you think. Okay.
whose is that baby in the car? And everyone just went really quiet. And the girl at the coffee counter said, sorry? And she went, is that your baby in the car? And she said, yeah. And she went, well, you shouldn't leave it in the car. You need to go and get it. That's dangerous. And that is the first time when we talk about serious, when everyone's like, now what? Everyone's just stood there like, what's going to happen now? And now what is she going to say? And this girl just walked out, went and got her baby from the car and brought it back in and put it on her hip. Do you know, I was expecting someone to say, don't talk to her like that, or you can't say that, or no one said a word. It was just like, this woman had said what she wanted to say. And in a way, it was kind of right. But, it's like, well, you don't know the situation because the baby might have been ill or, it might be too hot for the baby or whatever. You just don't know.
Yeah.
But.
And that's what you will find with the Kiwis here. If someone's out of order.
Yeah.
So see, even if you're like your Christmas at the bowl and someone is like being boisterous or a bit too, people will just stand up and say, oi.
Yeah, they will.
And it's like, pack it in.
Yeah.
And it's amazing because when you go here, you never, ever, everyone's just calm because everyone's got each other's backs.
Yeah.
It's not like, and the person won't say, oh, who are you to say that?
Well, that's what I was expecting this girl to say.
Yeah.
I thought if you'd said that to someone in England, if you'd walked into a spa in England and gone, whose is that baby? You just say, mind your own F. Well, I wouldn't say that because I'd be too scared. But you'd say,
I'll tell you what,
you say it. What?
If you ever want to see
but you wouldn't. I know that they would
camp
say, well, who do you think who do you think you're talking to?
Yeah, what's it got to do with you?
Yeah, what's it got to do with you?
Yeah.
And and then there'd be an argument, and then there'd be a kerfuffle, and it was just, she said it in such a way that and the girl just went and got the baby and brought her back in.
And that's that almost like it's a common senseness about them, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like, come on, you shouldn't have left her out there. I know why you left her out there because it's easier just to come in, get your coffee, get back in your car, then taking a baby out the baby seat, clipping him back in. It's a hassle, isn't it? And you just think, and where you were, the baby is going to be perfectly safe, but
And that's one of the things, going back to what you said about common sense, Bri, is one of the things that I've spoken about this before. If you go and listen to the podcast, Raising Kids in New Zealand, it was one of the things that attracted me to this country in the first place. And I hope, and I've got a feeling they are going to lose it.
You will do with health and safety. It goes out the window.
No,
doesn't
it's
it?
just like, it's the younger generation. I think they're going to start going, well, I've got my, why don't talk to me like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Oops, I'm banging their thing. I remember coming to New Zealand, I've told this story before, we went to the swimming pool, the hot pools, and this woman stood up and she told, not my kids because Tess was only young, but there was a bunch of kids, they were being a bit naughty, and this woman stood up And she said, "Oi, sit down and stop messing about." She wasn't even related to them. And the mum didn't turn around and go, "Don't talk to my kids like that."
I know, because in England it's like, "Oh, you talk.
Yeah, I
Don't you tell
know,
my
yeah.
kids to do this?" And don't.
And it was
it's just
just,
like, oh.
I loved it. I
Yeah.
absolutely loved it. And it was one of the things that I thought, oh, relief, because that's how I brought my children up. You know,
Yep.
we brought our kids
Well, be
up
respectful.
to be respectful.
That's
That's
it, isn't
right.
it? Yeah.
And if an older person tells you something, then, and I still say that to them now. They're like, "Oh, who are they to say that to me?" And I'm like, "Yeah, but have respect,
Yeah.
And yeah, I know it's like there are some cases or whatever that you wouldn't, but it's just, and that's what I love about New Zealand people is they've still got that old fashioned, they'll say what they want to say.
It's and it's those family values. They still have those family
Yeah.
values. Especially the Maori people. They're big into that. It's like you don't disrespect your older, parents, aunties, uncles,
Yeah.
whatever.
Oh,
'cause
can I tell you something else as well? While
Uh-huh.
we're just, I'm not going to have that iced tea next time, bro, because it's
you
made.
you've had 2 sips of
No,
it,
I
and I've
haven't,
had
it's
about 4.
empty. No, look.
Oh,
Got none
there you are.
left.
There's loads here.
No, I'm going to. Well, go
It's
on
in a
then.
drink bottle, if you can see us.
Go on
It's a
then.
plastic drink. Well, I can't reach that because I've got to get past the microphone. Hang on. There you go.
Okay, innovative. Kiwi people are innovative.
Yep. How many more have you got? You're up to 28 minutes. How many more
Yeah,
have you got on your list?
that's the last one.
Okay. Yeah. Yes. Super initiative. Initiative, are you saying?
No,
Innovative.
no,
Innovative.
no.
What?
Try again.
Innovative.
Innovative.
Well, I did
It's
say
a bit of a
innovative.
mouthful, isn't it? No,
Yeah.
you said innovative, I think. Oh, I don't know.
Well, anyway. Yeah. I tried. Yes. Unbelievable. Things that have been invented by New Zealand people.
Mm.
The jet boat. How brilliant is that? Invented by the Kiwis.
Was it?
Yep.
And do you know what else I love? I love the fact that
Bungee jumping.
the cafe latte, the
Yeah,
latte.
No, it's the flat white.
Oh yeah, that's it. The
Yeah,
flat white.
flat
Yeah,
white,
not the
yeah,
latte. The
yeah.
flat white.
Yep.
And the other thing I just love is the fact that they won't throw anything away. They fix it and they
Yep.
use bits off other things and say, "Oh no, we'll just we'll reinvent that," rather than, I just love that about them. Oh, we can use that for something else. They won't let you throw things away, will
Yeah.
they?
Well, if it's just like with certain things, so say there's a specialist part that you needed to order from Europe, and say it was a I don't know, a branch manifold for a car or something, and super duper exhausting. The engineers here would just go, "Let's just make it," and they've still got that feel and that we can do, and we will make these things, and they'll make something that is probably better than what the original part was.
Mm.
When you look at some of the engineering that they do, it's just outstanding. It really, really is, and innovative things. Making water wheels out of that produce electricity from a washing machine motor, and you're like, really? And it's just like, yep, turn it into a turbine, and away they go, and it's just like, wow. So some of the things they come up with, flip flops, invented by a Kiwi.
Mm.
And you go, no, they weren't. And it's like, yes, they were. They're called jandals over here, which is the Japanese sandal, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Because he looked at the Japanese sandals at the Tokyo Olympics of whenever it was and went, that's a good idea. Well, let's make those. And everybody wears flip-flops now. So there's a whole bunch of stuff. Look at, Sir Edmund Hillary, wanted to go to the South Pole, decided to do it in a Massey Ferguson tractor, just bang, just things like that, which is just like, it's just, amazing people.
And
really.
again, that's where it comes. I think that it shows up in the fact that whatever you say to them, oh, I've talked about this loads of times. I'm going to start I'm going to sell snow to the igloos. I'm going to sell
Eskimos.
To the Eskimos.
Yeah.
And everyone goes, oh yeah, that you can really make that work. There's nothing. I don't know. There isn't that feeling of, well, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
Never. I've never come across that. And we're always having. I mean, we're pretty.
Yeah, a great film. If you ever get chance to watch it, is it's called The Fastest Indian, the world's fastest Indian. It's an Anthony Hopkins film. He played the guy who took his motorbike car thing, motorbike to there's the salt flats in Indiana, I think it is, and set the fastest record for this little thing, and it's just, watch it. It's a great film. It's got that kiwi style ingenuity. Tessa is trying to call me.
Yeah, no, she's
Yeah.
just trying to call me.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll finish up there then. So just to round up, Kiwi people are absolutely, I think they're the friendliest people on earth. In fact, I was just reading a survey before, a 2011 survey done by HBC. What's that bank called? HSBC.
HSBC, Hong Kong Bank, basically.
And they surveyed like over 4,000 people who had emigrated to around 70 countries. And New Zealand turns out to be number one country that is the easiest to integrate into. They're welcomed with open arms. Kiwis are friendly. So if you are coming over here and you're thinking, what are the New Zealanders like? They're just absolutely lovely.
And that's any race, creed, colour, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, that's right.
Accept everybody.
Yeah.
One of the first countries in the world to accept gay marriage and gays, and it's just. Yeah, they're when you look at what they've done here. So, you just think it's amazing what they've come up with. Women's rights ahead of everybody else in the world.
Yeah.
So it is an outstanding country. It really, really is. And it makes you proud to be living here. Really, really does.
Yep. Thanks, New Zealanders, for having us. Even if we can't pronounce words, and I'm really sorry, like I say in advance, it's just we're still learning, and
Yeah. And the famous thing that New Zealanders can do, if they've got a piece of fencing wire, I think it's called number 8 fencing wire, you can fix anything with that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So say you've broken down or done this or something like that, they will come out. If you've got a piece of wire, that's the attitude. It's like we'll get it rolling again, we'll get it fixed, we'll get it back on the road. She'll be right.
Yeah.
And we'll get you to where you need to get, and whatever. If something in your house is broken down, piece of number 8 wire. It's a bit of a joke, but that's what it means. They can fix it.
Oh.
So.
All right then. So it's concluded that we Kiwis are nice people, and
come on over.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so we are going to go. I've got to go now because I've got to drink the rest of my Long Island iced tea. Yeah. And I will speak to you
Tessa,
next week.
Who has been at the beach all day, is trying to call
us.
so
Tessa's trying to call.
Up.
Thank you so much again for all your comments on YouTube, and just for keeping in touch, sending me emails, and just letting us know that you're there. If you can leave a 5-star review on iTunes, Apple iTunes, that would be fantastic, because it means more people can listen to us. But until next week, I'll say goodbye and keep safe, and speak to you soon.
Hey, and as they say in New Zealand, kia kaha, which means stay strong.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for joining us this week on the podcast. We have loved having you here.
If you guys could subscribe to us on iTunes and leave us a 5-star review.
Oh yeah, that would be nice.
That would be absolutely amazing. And make sure to share the podcast with your friends.
And if you'd like to hop over to the blog, find one of the little boxes that ask you to drop your email. I will send you a newsletter every week letting you know when we've released our new podcast. That will go straight into your inbox. So it's www.itsadrama.com.
All right, guys, enjoy the rest of your day, and we will see you next week for another podcast.
Look forward to it. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.